All right. So we have another good treat for you guys today. First of all, thank you for joining us for another episode of Creative Genius. And we have another creative genius in store for you guys today. So I met this brother through LinkedIn. That's where a lot of my contacts come from, to be honest. So we chopped it up the first time. He gave me a chance to sit down with him and just pick his brain the first time. And he did such a wonderful job. I decided to invite him back for an episode of Creative Genius. So I just want to welcome to the platform today. So today I have Chairman and CEO of Gaines Entertainment and also founder of GainesCon Film Festival. And so those are all the things that we'll cover today. So none other than Mr. Barry Gaines. How you doing, sir?
Good, man. Good. Thank you for having me on. This is a pleasure. Thank you so much.
Oh, no doubt. Listen, you're doing a lot of wonderful and outstanding, amazing things in the world of film, in a genre that we don't normally talk about, to be honest with you. So it's a pleasure to get with you and expand and just talk about. I'm not even sure. I don't even want to mispronounce the genre that you that you've kind of mastered and kind of cornered. But we'll definitely expand on that. So just give the audience some background on you, where you're from, where you're born and raised, and we'll start off like that.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Well, first of all, I was born and raised in New York, in Queens. So to get into the weeds real quick, I was the first 10 years of my life, I was raised in the Barrio, which is Spanish Harlem on 3rd Street. And then I moved to Far Rockaway, Queens. If anyone's familiar with New York and Queens, Far Rockaway is by the beach. So I grew up by the beach pretty much all my life. And then
where Nori from? Nori, the rapper?
Yeah, I think so. Is he from Far Rockaway?
Yeah,
I'm not sure. Is he from Far Rockaway? Yeah, we don't get too much representation from Far Rockaway. You know what I'm saying?
It's all good. The name's still familiar because I hear him talk about it all the time on this podcast, Drink Champ. So that's why I asked. It's all good.
You know what? I'm here with him, but you know what? I'm gonna have to give him some love. So thanks for putting me up on him.
No
but yeah, that's why I was raised on my life pretty much, and then went to high school in Brooklyn, which is Bishop Loughlin. And then after that, I went to college in the Five Towns College, which is in Long Island. So, but all that time growing up, I was always into film. A friend of mine got this Hitachi camcorder back in like 80, 81. Hitachi, bro,
right.
Where like the jar was hanging off your shoulder. You had
right. I remember those days.
Yeah, it was like big as a car tire.
Right.
And you're over here trying to move around, making stories. And I was like 10, 11 years old. So we still have film from when I was 10, 11. So that's when I started and just kind of get into the world of, what filmmaking is all about. And I was always into film since I was a kid. And when I first saw, the first movie I saw was Moonraker with James Bond's Moonraker with Roger Moore. And when I saw that, my eyes were open because I never saw anybody not only be like a spy and have a gun and a suit or whatever, but also then go into space and start seeing all the special effects with space. And, I was like, wow. I mean, it's funny. That was the first thing that kind of drew me when I was young was that. And then of course, Star Wars, came along and all that. But yeah, so when I was growing up, I mean, that always kind of attracted to me. So as I was older, I started working for Virgin Records. After like in between school and everything else, and I got a gig with them for a little while.
How'd you get that job?
Interning. I was in college. I went to BMCC. I left from Five Towns College in Long Island, went to BMCC, which is a Borough of Manhattan Community College, which is downtown, which is a few blocks away from the Twin Towers. I was going to call them the Twin Towers, but World Trade Center at the time. So I, went there, but at the time, I'm in the city. It's all in the city. So I was hopping around different record companies because I was in, a music group. I was, in hip hop. I was a DJ for many, many years. You know what I mean? I was cutting and scratching the whole deal. And, so I was, I was always in entertainment somewhere along the line, either film or music. It was always film or music. And then I was doing film. It was one of those things I just did on the weekends with my friends, and we grew up and we just started to kind of expand on that. But, life gets to you. And I'm like, well, I like music too. And I started doing all that. But really, when I really I really understood what I was doing all this time, because you never really think about it when it comes to film. When I was filming anyway, was I was doing it so often just on the weekends with my friends. It was just something we did, like putting on shoes. So, every day. You didn't really think about it too much until one day I remember being in Virgin Records, and I was sitting down at my desk because I was a publicist in Black music. And I'm sitting there, and all of a sudden I remember like it was yesterday. It was suddenly I said I wanted more, and then bang, it hit me. And I'm like, you know what? I really direct movies. I've been doing music so long. I'm like, let me get bigger on this. I want to be a director. I actually want to control what I do. And then that's how it started. And that's
what year was this, you think? If you can think of that.
This was in 93,
93,
92, somewhere around there. Yeah. That's when that's when it hit me. I remember it hitting me hard then. And then I exactly knew that's what I wanted to do. And I started, pursuing it in various avenues and various sectors ever since.
Right. Now, what was it like at Virgin Records? What was your experience then? I mean,
Virgin taught me a lot. I mean, I really love being there. Being a publicist, you really understand what they do and how important they are to any artist. It is not just music, but also to any entertainment entity. Publicist is the reason why you have anybody is the reason why you see anybody anywhere. It's our job to make sure they're on TV, they're in print, wherever there's eyes to be, that we can draw in. That's our job. So the artist has no power on that. Now it's different. I mean, back then we didn't have social media and everything else.
Right.
The artist has to kind of bring in their own traffic and their own audience when they want to. But at that time, of course, it was all up to us. And so we pretty much held all the power. So, and I was working with media artists, like lower artists at the time, because my boss, Tony Johnson, I still remember him. So Tony, if you're out there, man, I know you're older cat now, so much love, man. Appreciate the love you gave me. He was dealing with guys. He was dealing with Janet Jackson at the time. He was dealing with Lenny Kravitz. I mean, that was his clients.
Right.
And my clients were these lower guys. But they still taught me a lot of, just what it means to not only how to market yourself and how important it is, and how it works in the back end, but also to relations, how important relations are in this industry. It's vital. You can be the best you get best, but if you piss people off or you just don't work well, you're done.
Right.
Because one thing the entertainment industry that teaches you right away is that there's always someone better than you behind you. So you always have to work hard to kind of keep pace or keep a leg up, because we're in the industry that a lot of people want to be in. And unfortunately, the studios know this, and they prey on that. I mean, they prey on you with that. That's how sometimes they would. I mean, just to kind of get in the dark side, that's how they sometimes threaten you with your income, with your pay, with your benefits, with maybe decisions that you make. And all of this kind of encompasses, because they say, if you don't want to do it, I have 2 million people behind you who would love to be in your stuff. So you better just do this. And that's one of the things you have to understand about this industry. Yeah.
Right.
It's all, it's not like being anything else. It's one of those industries that everybody wants to be in. So yeah. So it taught me how to kind of always stay hungry.
Right. Now, you said one thing that I think is particularly interesting. And here's the thing that I think a lot of creatives, they miss out on it or really don't understand, is the marketing and self-promotion of whatever they're doing. Kind of expand more on that, the marketing of an artist, whether it's a visual artist, whether it's a music artist, or whether it's a chef or a screenmaker. Talk about because that's what we want to cover. We want to dig into the behind the scenes, and the more the business aspect of being a creative, because a lot of creatives just don't understand the business, um, and uh, and for that reason, uh, as you already know, that may be an area that where they fail, as far as being an entrepreneur as in art. So kind of expand on the marketing portion of being an independent artist.
Yeah, the marketing has changed. The base of it hasn't, but
Right.
the way you go about it, and the must and like the different tentacles that you can attach yourself to it has changed a little bit. But marketing is very important, and a lot of times I get it. Most artists are not marketers.
Right.
I mean,
Right.
artist. Like I'm not a. I mean, I was a publicist, yeah, but I'm not like a really high end marketer.
Right.
I'm just not more of an artist. So that's what gets a lot of artists now, where they do what they do, but they need someone to help, or they have to understand that you really
Right.
need to start pushing yourself more, like getting your face out there more than you
Right.
did before. You can't
Right.
rely on companies or what have you. Now you want a company, you want muscle behind you because it's easier for you. You can then concentrate on your abilities and your art. But when you're at a lower level, like a lot of us are, that you're just trying to kind of get some eyes on you, you have to consistently do like, you got to have like 3 or 4 hats,
Right.
and you have to you have to treat each hat as if they're gold because they
Right.
are,
Right.
so that's when it comes to marketing, you have to understand that that's mostly everything. Now, I would bring this up when you market yourself or you start to do your work. I would say this. I would ask yourself this. What do you want to be? Like how big you want to be? What do you want? What is your brand? Like how big you want to be? But you got to be honest. Don't be out there that's saying, well, I want to be a millionaire, I want to be famous. Do you really understand what that means? Or
Right.
do you just want comfortable enough to pay your bills
Right.
and still be able to do what you want to do? You have to understand, because once you start going into a higher level, there's going to be a lot more hands in the jar that you're going to have to try to fight away
Right.
in order to get power. But it's going to be harder because those very hands are the muscle that you need to get you to the next level. So then you're going to have to learn to be, a salesman, a saleswoman. You're going to have to learn to do that, when you start getting into that realm. But right now at a lower level, you can figure like, okay, the first thing I need to do is have people out there know who I am and what I do.
Right.
That's when it comes into doing more than just your art, whatever it is. Now you have to get people to know who you are on a personal level. The way we are now with social media and everything else is all personal, and remember, this is a medium that is it's all about feelings. Unlike other industry, this industry is all about feelings.
Right.
So if you hit that heartstring,
Right.
just like you as an artist, you have to be in a certain mood, a certain area, I mean, a certain climate to kind of get the best out of yourself. How that is for yourself. You know what you have to do. It's no different than the audience that you're trying to reach out.
Right.
They want to see something
Right.
interesting. Actually, the most interesting thing they want to see from you is you.
Right.
So
And so I'm working on a video right now. It's a short video, but it's 10. It's pretty much 10 reasons why artists struggle. And so the first one is my first one is because artists don't tell their story. All right, you have to tell your story. So you telling your story is how you're going to gain an audience, because the audience wants to feel like they want to connect. If there's no connection, there's really no interest in as far as attracting the audience that you want. So I'm right in line with you. You have to tell your story, whatever it is, whatever that story is. So yeah, definitely, I would agree. It's all about feelings, but you definitely want to capitalize on those feelings by telling your story. So cool, good. All right, so you end up leaving Virgin Records.
yeah.
And you get in the film industry. Tell us about that. How did that transition come about, and when?
Well, because once I left, I mean, life happens. I started working for a club and everything else called La Broad back in the days, a high-end club. And started going to that route. And then I moved to Virginia to kind of expand, what I want to do in film and just kind of living life. Like you get to a point where I just got tired at one point. Like my brain, I just got tired. I wanted to be in a certain kind of environment to kind of, make it more pleasant when I start doing what I really want to do, which is film. So that's when then I met my wife in Virginia. And then from there, I just started to move on and, then really started to say, oh, you know what, let me start using, not just making films, like just regular short films or whatever. I started, it's in my business. So I started to go into like, weddings and parties and things like that.
Right.
A few of those. And then, as I did that, it kind of helped me hone in on like really my skills on a different level, where, now I have to make someone happy. I really have to concern myself with someone else's feelings besides my own, so you have to then create this video, what you're doing, with the intention of the client, like what their taste is. You may do something that you normally wouldn't do, but your client likes it. So you say, I really want to do this, but if you like it, you like it. You know what I mean? Because you're the one that's going to go around town saying, yo, he did a good job for me. He did exactly what I wanted. This guy's really, really a good person to be with. And that's the key with these things. So but then over time, I just started to say, it's time to just do what I want to do. I really need to start doing films that I want. And I have so many films in my head. It always did. Making storylines, in itself, it was very easy for me, shots and just everything, the details was very natural to me, still is. So I started to just kind of hone in my skills with that. And that's why I started to go ahead and start making a movie, my first one. Well, I made others, little ones like back in the days, but now World of Worlds is my latest one that I just went ahead and wrote the whole thing, edit the whole thing, physically filmed the whole thing, cast everybody. I did everything except for the music and the visual effects.
Oh wow. Okay, cool. So let's talk about that. So the World of Worlds, would you say this is your first big project that you worked on and put together?
I say it would be, yeah. And it's later in life, it's like I began doing this 7 years ago.
Okay.
I've done some stuff before. I never got to where I really wanted to go to because I was doing other things. Life happens, situations happen, and next thing you know, time goes. And next thing around, you're like, whoa, how old am I now? And what happened? All these. What am I doing? So anyone out there who's looking at this, if you know what you want to do it.
Yeah, get to it. Yeah, get to it.
There's no like, oh, let me do this again. Let me go back when I was 26 and start over. They don't start over. You know what I mean? So get going where you can. And that's what happened. So that's when I started to say, you know what? I wanted to make a story that encompasses a majority of the films that I grew up with and all the films that inspired me to even want to be a filmmaker, and look at scenes from films I admire and say, you know what, I could have did that better, or I would have done it like this. It was a culmination of all these thoughts, and I put it all together into a film about reincarnation and parallel universes, and good and evil.
Right now, here's the thing with artists, and I don't necessarily want to do this, but I ask this question. But what genre do you kind of I'm not sure what genre do you specialize in, if that's such a thing for you, or you can kind of do anything, or
you know what, the genre is usually sci-fi fantasy.
Okay, all right.
It's really three of them in one,
right?
But I just don't want to go to one, but it's really action, sci-fi, fantasy. So
cool.
When that encompasses a lot of things. So that's pretty, and it's what always attracted me, and and I really enjoy being in it. I love doing that stuff.
Cool. Now, do you want to go into just a little detail about the movie and what it's about, or
about World of War? Yeah. No, so real quick before I get into like the what the story's about, this is independent. So it's not like I had a huge budget. The budget's all mine, it's out of my pocket. So it took a few years to kind of even get the first one going. So the story is about it's about a parallel universe on a planet
Right.
named Rasir,
Right.
a planet where everybody has magic of some sort, some kind of power. They know about us, but we don't know about them.
Hmm.
But on this planet, there's an evil warlock named Sil who has teamed up with a lot of the world leaders and has decided to just take over everything, just demolish everything, almost like an Ultron type of thing,
Right.
and just wants to thing from scratch and to rule it all. But in this time, there is a woman by the name of Sophia Hayden, who is the commander of an army in a city called Merce. And she is what you call the keeper of the stone. There's a stone that leads her to these three kings and one queen that lived 2,000 years ago that possess a power, that possess powers that can help her save the planet. But she has to find them in their reincarnated bodies. So they got to find out where they are in between both sides. So this stone brings her around. So when it brings her to an area, it doesn't really tell her who it is until the stone is very close in proximity to the person. But it tells them like where they are. So she knows the history of each one of them. So she's trying to look for clues and habits and idiosyncrasies of people within these areas. But she has to do this before Sil can finally take over everything. So it's like a race against time. So the first person she finds is one of the strongest kings, which is Zahayan Korean. But today he is called Eric Wilson. He lives in Tampa. He's a business analyst and he doesn't know who he is. So she comes about and she brings him over to the other side. She's able to bridge from one dimension to another, so the one universe to another, due to her powers with the stone. But she brings him over and tells him like who he is, but he's scared. He's like, I'm going to call the police. Get away from me, you crazy woman. What the hell? Right. I'm not. You're my king. You need to understand. You need to remember who you are. And he does. And when he does remember who he is, it comes about very, very abruptly and uncomfortable, to where he kind of wakes up and realizes, okay, he's in this different time. But the twist that I made on this was I'm not making it like most movies would just kind of get along with the story. Like, okay, you wake up and next thing you know, you're helping people out. Right. Where now he has because he's reincarnated, so he has two lives in his head. So all of these images are rushing, thousands of images are rushing through his head a second. Just from the time that he was around 2,000 years ago, with his wife and his kids and the armies that he fought with, the guys that fell with him, the love of his life, like everything. And also today, his mother, his parents, everything he's gone through, like all these things are rushing between him. And he doesn't know, he can't focus. And that's where Sophia Hayden comes in, because she's a commander. This is her first time dealing with this, but she needs him. So she's like she's the nurturing factor. She's like the mother of this, that kind of help them focus and say, this is who you really are. And you need to remember who you are. We need your strength and your leadership and power to help with this. But we need the other three because Sil is too strong. You yourself can't beat him. So that's why now they have to find the other three. And when they find the other three, that's when they can save the planet. And those four are called the Royal Four. Ooh, so you have a lot of other characters too, like Kayla, who's a cannibal and a commander of the evil army. You have the Rosris, which is her partner, but she also is the leader of another militia.
This is all in your head, like
yeah. All the backstories of each character. There are threesomes, so also to Sil, Kayla, and the Rosris, they're like a couple. They're a threesome, but they're together. But they also, but one of the main things of this story before we move on is, because it's a lot in the story, is that Sil is looking for the most powerful warlock that has ever walked that planet, which was called Yzeel, who the Royal Four killed 2,000 years ago, because Yzeel was a prodigy. He knew all four of their powers. So since he knew all four of it, he decided he should be the king. He should be the ruler. He should be the god. So that's when he started to kind of build an army of war and start going around all of these lands and all these kingdoms. And those four, the three kings and queen, those Royal Four got together and decided to we got to stop this guy, because those Royal Four actually ruled the four quadrants of the planet: north, south, east, west.
Right.
So so they got together because they're very strong and they're gifted. and they killed him, and they put him in the ground about 200 miles below ground in the magic forest. And then they decided that they didn't want to teach their skills to no one else after that, because they were afraid that, hey, you know what, if someone, although we do have children who needs to kind of continue this bloodline, continue the teachings, what happens if they turn? It would destroy everything. So they decided to say, well, listen, we're going to keep our teachings to ourselves. We're not going to pass it on to our families anymore. What we're going to do is put our essence into a stone. And anyone that the stone decides to be its keeper, who needs someone to be strong, someone who has a pure heart, that stone will pick that person. When it does, when they need us again in the future, if the evil of this magnitude comes back again,
right,
then that person will be able to find us again and bring us back. So that's where this comes along. So that's where this story kind of starts, with that whole premise.
Oh my God. How long did it take you to develop that storyline?
The storyline itself, for me to sit there and kind of figure out everything, probably took me like 2 days.
2 days?
Like 2 days, just to kind of get the story together. Yeah.
Right.
And then like understand where I'm going and who's who, and it'll take me long. But then, writing it, write the whole script, it probably took me 3 months, maybe something like that.
That's still impressive to me. I mean, you're asking me, that's still impressive. Uh-huh.
Just the first episodes and things like that took me about 4 months, and then so yeah. So
now,
and then
go ahead.
Yeah, that's it, pretty much. Yeah, we
still
continue.
Now that sounds like a pretty hefty project to put together. Yeah. Like, how does one go about independently putting together their own film project? Like, what was one of the first things outside of developing your story, doing the script? What was one of the first few things that you knew you had to do to put this project together?
Well, the first thing is of course write script, right? Know what you want to do. And then you decide to get your camera. Like, these are real simple things that you just have to think about. Like, hey, get your camera, cool. Get your story together. Just write your script, whatever. Don't worry about marginalizing. Don't worry to try to make it all fancy like a real professional script. You don't need to worry about that unless you're trying to sell the script.
Right.
I'm only people who are going to, or their intentions is to actually film it themselves.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. If you're gonna sell it, then of course you're gonna got to get it professionally put together. But if you're not, then don't worry about that. Just write it, whatever it is. And then when you write it, you start to visualize who will be good at this. If there's people you already know, you can start writing it around their image,
Mm-hmm.
And then those very people then can also probably help you trying to get other actors or other people of interest to come on board that you like. So, make sure you go through an interview process. Just don't hire people, have people come in just because they're cool or that's your boy's friend. Don't do that, because you have to make sure that everybody can coalesce,
play in the sandbox together.
Right, that, So I got stuck there for a moment.
So
yes, yeah. So it's like, and that's what you do. And also, even if it's a big project or whatever, you feel like it's all of this, always understand that you are the writer. You can you can change whatever you want to change. And make sure that if you do decide that you want to film whatever you are writing, that you can film it tomorrow. Like, literally, if you got what you need, you can film it tomorrow. Don't try to make something that's so far ahead that's going to take you so long to try to get funded and all that, unless you have the resources and means.
Right.
But I'm just a generalization right now.
Right.
I'm not getting on specifics. But generalization, yes. Make sure you can actually film it. Don't make it where you can't. Then, then from there, you'll make your movie, like, for example, for my movie, you see how big my movie is. I'm talking about different worlds and everything. I'm talking about Kings,
right?
About magic. But I know that I can't get a lot of that. So maybe a lot of the environments are going to be free environments, woods, parks, someone's home. You have to kind of incorporate the story with the resources that you have. So make it that way. But always understand that if you do get a chance or the ability, if you do get the chance to get money behind your idea, like a substantial amount to get what you really want, at least you know there is something else. Like there's more to it that's sitting on your shelf that you just can't wait to get to. That so when people maybe come to you and say, yeah, you know what, I like to do this over with you, or yeah, I like to put some more money into it. You can always say, oh, great, because this is what I really want to do. Because when you watch my movie, which is A World of Worlds, by the way, you can watch A World of Worlds on Tubi and on Amazon, but it's easier to go to Tubi. Put my name, Barry Gaines, or put in A World of Worlds, singular and then plural, and then you can see it. But when you see my movie, you're going to see, of course, it's independent, it's low budget, but a lot of it doesn't really take place in a lot of these places because I don't have the money to have a warehouse and busting through doors. I don't, obviously. So what I do is you just kind of change it up. So yeah, when you make a story of any caliber, like any level, always make sure that you can actually film it tomorrow. And then from there, then you can continue on how you want to write it. But do keep in mind that you want it bigger, because nobody wants to put money to anybody with no vision or nothing nobody wants their money to go into any person who doesn't want to go just so far. They want to be able to say, I want a whole lot more than this. Let's just do it. It's more confident. So yeah, just kind of keep that in mind. That's how I did mine.
Cool, man. I think that's dope advice. Like, so in essence, it just sounds like to me is you putting people in a position where they just do it. I mean, not worry about the fancy overhead, just get a group of actresses together, and just do it for the most part. Just do it.
Yeah, get your family, and do it together. I mean, because once you say action, you're now technically a director. Once you start writing a script, now you're technically a writer.
Right.
And once you start putting money into anything, any kind of craft,
right,
now technically you become a producer. So, these titles are automatic. Now the next level is like, oh, well, how good are you? Where are you going with it? How are you going to build upon this new title that you have? Right. And that's not the easiest thing in the world. Don't get me wrong, guys. I mean, a lot of us still trying to climb. I'm still trying to climb. It's not the easiest thing in the world. You can have the best movie in the world, but if no one knows what it is, or you don't have enough marketing, or you just don't have enough eyes on it, no one's ever going to know.
Right.
So that's why everybody only knows you about what you put out. Right. So just make sure you got the best you can.
Now, how have you chosen to market this project?
The first time was obviously through social media. First thing I made in the beginning, I was interviewing my actors to talk about the movie and their character, throwing that out there, kind of give people a feel of what's coming up. And then of course I went ahead and cut my own trailer, and then had my composer put the music together with it. And then after that, push that out. Like you always see a million times from movies that you like, right? In real life, it's the same.
Right.
Also too, then also every now and then speak, online like I'm doing now with you, and speak about the movie and about our ideas and where it's going to go, what it's about, when it's going to come out, a little BTS, a little behind the scenes conversations as well, just to kind of get people on board, start putting out pictures of like maybe behind the, some BTS pictures, little things like that. Don't give too much away, but, put some out. Right. Also too, you know what? Also, I do want to say this is very important when it comes down to like your art and you're trying to promote it and you're independent. Don't worry about leaving too much on the table. Like, don't worry about, I don't want people to know, because not enough people know about your stuff to really make any difference.
Right.
10,000 people. That's nothing compared to like a Hollywood film that has about 100 million people.
Right.
Like, your numbers are so small. You want all this information come out as much as possible.
Right.
Because all they know it's coming out and they know your movie's coming out. Like I learned, it doesn't mean they're going to see it. They may support you, but a lot of times they just don't see it.
Right.
They may watch a few minutes and that's it. So that's why you want to kind of always kind of tell them what the story's all about, what they can expect, check it out, because people are more interested when it comes to indie films. They're not interested in more of like how it's going to end. They want to know how you did it. Like, how's it going to look? Like, what's this
Right,
going to look
right,
like?
right,
You larger films, you already know, there's a standard there already. So you already know as a a moviegoer how movies are going to look. But when it comes down to independent guys, lower guys, and then you say, I got this idea, people are just curious to see what it's going to look like.
right,
So that's
right,
what will help you. So
right,
yeah, just
right,
keep pushing. That's the main thing.
right. And here's the most important part about a film project that I always think is probably one of the most important pieces when making a film, and that's the music. Um, like the,
Yes.
the music in a film is so you think about all your top five favorite movies. Why do you remember them? Most of it is because of the music that you hear. Talk about the music that you chose, how you what was your process behind the music that's in your project?
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought this up, Aaron. Music is so important.
Right,
So important. And more importantly, is the composer in which you choose, the person you work with in doing the music. That is so vital.
right,
Um, and one thing I want to tell those who are interested in getting a composer or have gotten a composer, whatever. But one thing about picking a composer is that does that composer make music in general that fits your music? You
mhm,
got to figure. A lot of people don't look at composers like they do other artists, other music artists. You look at, I don't know, Doja Cat. You think Doja Cat, but you need someone who's going to do an orchestra type of feel. Well, Doja Cat's
right,
not going to do that shit. I mean,
right,
it's like, why would you pick this person? Oh, I want to expand your horizon. I want to expand your. I don't do that. So why would you? And then you get mad. It's the same way with composers. Some composers just do really, really well with very subtle and long strings and very dramatic moods that are beautiful. But
right,
if you have a high action film, they may not know how to do that. They know, but they won't kick it like someone. They won't kick it to a level where an action, composer can, because their
right,
mind is. Remember, it's all about taste. It's all about feeling, and it's all about what's up here. And if you don't see it, they can't hear it and see it, then don't pick them. So understand, when you pick a composer, you want to pick a composer that when you listen to their music, you can see their music that they already made fit your movie. If
right,
there's nothing on there that kind of fits your movie, then don't call the person, because you're going
right,
to waste their time.
right.
Also, stop asking your composers to make things sound just exactly like somebody's music. They can't do
Mm,
it. They get stop that. They stop doing that. They hate that. I know. Just don't do that. But when I picked mine, my first film, I picked a wonderful composer by the name of Michael Vignola. Look him up. Name him Michael Vignola. I think he's a genius. He really is.
right,
He's in Staten Island. He started as a metal guitarist, with his band years ago, but he always loved movies and he loved movie music. So he started to go into that, and so transitioning into that was a beautiful transition, because Danny Elfman was like that too. Who did the music for Back to the Future and does other things now. That's
right,
one of his tunes. So but Michael did a great job for my first film because it required his tastes, like his ideas and the way his music runs. It fit what I needed to have in my first one. So he did a great job. And when we spoke about things, when we went through the process, we agreed on a lot of ways how to go about even like making a tune for a scene. And if I couldn't, the easiest way for Michael to understand, and I figure it was the easiest way for any composer to understand what I want from a scene, is try not to give them the specific beats as much you can, because there's some moments you want to kind of pop or whatever.
right.
Give them the feel that you want the audience to feel at that moment.
Uh,
For them to say, okay, cool. So then they can go back and say, okay, he wants them to feel uncomfortable. He wants that moment is to feel really uncomfortable. So I need to put these sounds in. So they'll know. So that's what we did. And also, too, a big thing with me when it comes to the composers, Aaron, that's why I love this subject. So thanks for
no, it's
bringing
all
this
good.
up.
I love the subject too. The music in the movie, like that's what makes a movie.
Yeah, I mean, I went to music school, man. Music is my first love.
Right.
But one thing too we found is, and I don't do this, and Hollywood guys do this, is that people like to give composers temp tracks. And what they do is a temp track is, do you know what a temp track is? People just kind of get, music from wherever,
Right.
and put it on a scene of theirs. And then when they put it, because that music gives them the feel that they want.
Right.
And then they'll find a composer, someone who does music, and they'll give them that with the temp track and say, you see here, this music and everything, let's make it like that. This is where I wanted to kind of go. And that's fine for the composers. The problem with that, some composers that have no problem with that, some do. I don't like doing that at all.
Right.
This is what happens. The composer now is fighting a fight they can't win because unless they make that tune damn near close to what that person has already put in their movie, they won't be able to hear the magic really that's going behind that film a lot, that music a lot of times. Why? Because just think of the logic behind it. If you have a scene, you are specifically looking for these tunes and you're listening to this tune continuously, probably for days. You're picking tunes. I love this. You're putting it on your scene. You're listening to it. You take it off. You listen to it. You adjust. You listen to it. It's consistently in your head. You go another tune in your head consistently. Now you have these tunes in your head for God knows how long, how many days, how many weeks. Now you're going to give it to somebody and say, hey, listen, can you make a tune like this? They go ahead and make a tune that's similar to you. You're going to now judge it against the very tune that you've been listening to all this time. And a lot of times that causes you to miss the magic that they're putting in because you're already tainted. So that's why I don't like the whole temp track deal. What you want to do is say, you know what you want to feel. You heard this person's work. Just worry about the person's work that you know about. From there, you guys go back together and find the tune that you want and make it fresh for both of your ears. Fresh. That's when the glory comes out. That's when the magic.
Yeah.
And you
Yes,
can
sir.
really yeah. So
yes, sir.
Those are really big with me when it comes to composing. It's very vital, and I hear it all the time. People say, "Why don't we just use temp tracks and things like that?" Man, you killing the composer.
Yeah. So this is my first time, hearing that advice. But it makes so much sense. You want a composer to kind of do their thing. I mean, that's why you hired them, right, in the first place, because you believe in you're confident in their ability to bring your project to life. Why would you give them something, that already exists? That's in my mind. Let them create. That's why you hired them. Let them do their thing.
Exactly. That's why you hired them. It's like. You hire them for their talents and their taste in music.
Right.
So,
right.
So, that's a good one. I appreciate you bringing that up because that's something I wanted to bring out there.
No, it's all good. So anybody that I've hired to do anything for me, would be a logo or a website, I don't give them nothing. I give them maybe an idea in my head. I would say, well, give me something that matches this idea, but for the most part, I want to know what you can create. I want to see what you do, because that's why I'm hiring you. I'm hiring you because I want your stamp. I want your creativity to bring my ideas to life. So I'm not going to give you nothing. I'm not going to give you no template of what I think you should do. It just makes no sense to me. Cool.
I agree.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Dope. So yeah. So that was great advice. Great advice, Barry. Woo.
Thanks, man. Yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about GainesCon. So I know you have an event coming out, GainesCon. Talk about that a little bit. Go in detail about that. What is GainesCon? And
GainesCon. It's funny because as you know, I'm a filmmaker and all that stuff. But I'm always looking for, and what kind of gets me going is when I see other artists, other indie artists in my genre, sci-fi, fantasy, and action, and just doing it the best they could in the lower level, but just kind of giving you a great story. That always kind of attracted me. I always admired that. It kind of keeps my juices flowing. It kind of inspires me. The large ones does too, and it always will. Because I'm always I like big things, like big movies. That's always attracted me.
Right.
So when I see an independent artist, trying to make something of that caliber, but on a lower level, I'm looking at it, as not just what money they're putting behind it, but what kind of creativity are they giving me for me to kind of still feel that scope that they really want to try to get to? And that to me is interesting and inspiring. So that's why I made GainesCon. And GainesCon is an action, sci-fi, fantasy, and now horror film festival for the independent filmmaker. And that is what I want to contribute to this entire world of film festivals. Now, our film festivals are called genre film festivals. So it's like almost we're like this, I don't know, redheaded stepchild as opposed to the other film festivals. But that's okay. You know why? Because, the different, anything that's different is always going to like leave a mark, and it always helps change the game. And there are out there that I admire, that I look up to, that one I look up to is South by Southwest. Now, South by Southwest is not like I don't want to say it's a genre film festival, it's not, but it incorporates a whole lot of other sectors of the entertainment industry. And I want to get to that level as well. But mine, I look at that like, you know what? And it's always very progressive. It's always moving forward. It's always looking for the next best thing. It's always trying to grow with the times. And I want my film festival to grow with the times. I do plan to do that. So now in November 19th and 20th, it's going to be my inaugural. It's my first film festival. It's going to be a modest film festival at first. It is my first. Also, too, with the pandemic, you kind of limited to getting people to theaters and to attend this. But that's okay, because it did not stop many artists from giving me their work and entrusting me with their work so far. So I'm in Florida, and it's going to be in Seminole, Florida at the Studio Movie Grill, by the way. You can get your tickets at GainesCon.com. And I have gotten material from all around the world, from Singapore, Australia to Germany. And these guys are bringing some heat. I mean, these guys are really putting in the effort. And you can tell, because I'm an independent filmmaker and I know what it takes to make any of these things. And I'm looking at what they're doing, and I know what they're doing, and they're doing a great job at it. And I want to show people that not just great stories and great, directorial debuts that these guys sometimes always make sure that I know is their first movie, but also these really cool original stories that these people put together, that they're trying to tell the best way they can with the resources that they have. So that's why I'm so excited to have this film festival right now. And also the film festival includes a great trophy, because I always say, you know what, if you're going to go into a film festival, you're going to win something cool. Give these guys so much. They do so much hard work. They're giving their own money for you to review their work, and if they win, give them something nice. So I got this really cool trophy called the Dragon Trophy. I have a red and gold dragon. The red dragon is for the best picture, and the gold dragon is going to be for the other categories like best actor, best female actor, best male actor, such and so forth. And then I have certificates too for other categories. So starting off with that, and we're filling it out. But I know this is going to be really something exciting and cool, and there's not many of us out there. And I just want to show the world, like, hey, listen, all because you say we are a genre film festival. We have exciting work for people to see. You're not just gonna be sitting you don't want to watch long and drawn out. You're like, oh God, already. So it's like one of those things. It's kind of like, oh, this guy's going to another world, whatever. So yeah. So that's what I want to. So anyone out there, check it out, GainesCon.com. And we're always looking for donations. You're always looking for sponsorships. It's the way to kind of grow this and keep it going. And it's not just people who are established, but also students who want to get into the game. There's normal people who just want to give it a shot that they don't know how to start, or they just don't have, they have material, but they have nowhere to go with it. And no one's giving. I want to give them a chance because I know how this is and how it works, how hard it is. Excuse me, just looking at something. So yeah, check out GainesCon, man. I really can't wait to kind of get this going.
Hey, bro, you ever thought about teaching at all, or putting together?
Yeah. So, it's funny you say that, because I get that every now and then, and I try to I do at times go online and just kind of talk about my ideas and my angle on things. But I haven't had a chance to actually go to like a class. I would love to. I mean, it'd be fun to. Just to kind of maybe
let's talk. I've definitely told you about my project. Rose Academy
Yes.
for the Creative Arts of Tampa, which is, a school for the creative arts. Let's definitely. I love the way you think, bro. I really do.
Thank you.
I think it's totally outside of the box, but you give the audience, you give people things that they can do now, as opposed to what they can do 5 years from now, which is why a lot of artists just don't never start, because they have this perception where it has to be just right. No such thing. You have to start somewhere. All right, and what you give the audience is you give them a perspective of you can start small, really small, grow your brand, and eventually put out what you want, but you have to start somewhere. But you give them how they can start. I love that about you. I think that's dope.
Thanks.
Yeah, no, most definitely. I love the way you think.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, I just know what it means to not have anybody around you that does what you do. It's a
Right.
little different for me. People, my friends do it, but I know it. I mean, people, I meet them all the time that want to do something or want to be in this game, and they have no idea.
Cool.
And and two, I just want to bring this up too real quick is film school. Now, I know you guys, hear this where, hey, listen, man, if I want to be a filmmaker, I got to go to the film school. I got this 50 grand, 40 grand and get my game type. And that's okay. Yeah, you can do that. But understand, you don't wait for film school for you to begin filming. You want to
Right.
go, fine. But there's one thing that film school does not teach you. It's just like any school, life, real situation.
Right.
Because you deal with people. Number one, film schools do not teach you how to hire. They'll teach you what you
That's man, I'm telling you.
and how to kind of build your crew.
Right.
And then
Yeah.
they don't tell you how to actually work with nothing. They don't tell you, like, if you don't have this, this, and this, you can still do it with this. A lot of times you just have to be imaginative yourself. You just got to be creative yourself. When you
Right.
leave, and now you don't have the fancy cameras, you don't have the fancy studios, and the lights,
Right.
department. You don't have none of these departments no more.
Right.
What you have is a nice fat bill that you need to pay back,
Mm-hmm.
and you can get your stuff at a discount.
Right.
But on yourself, if you don't have any money and you just like, well, now I want to make my film, hopefully, you can start working on a professional set to kind of get your, more, real life training, But for you, if I'm just speaking to directors, people who actually want to actually film it themselves and make it themselves, you have to learn how to make something with nothing. Now you don't have 3 or 4 cameras like you had like in film school, or even just 2. You may have 1. You may not have an Alexa or a Red camera like you have in school. Now you just may have a Sony DSLR.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be different. The light is going to be different. Your advantages has now cut down. This is why don't wait for film school if you plan to go to film school to start filming anything. Start getting yourself out there, because trust me, film world, the entertainment world will teach you real fast. And once you get out there, trust me, you learn really fast and real hard. And either you will survive or you just break apart. Because when it gets out there for real, people have no time to be worrying about your feelings. We all are in the same game. We all love each other. We all want to, be together and kind of build something worthwhile.
Right.
Understand that if that's the case, you're going to have moods and stuff and swings. But you also, too, want to understand that if there are shots that you need, how can I do this without all the fancy stuff from school? And that's one thing they don't teach you, that it's better off for you to start going through the process now if you plan to go to film school. But understand, you don't need it. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. Don't get me wrong, but you don't need it. Example, James Cameron, Robert Rodriguez. There are so many people who never went to film school. Their film school was life. They went out there, gave it a shot, fell in their face. Fuck. Went out again. I got to do this again. Looked at their material. Jesus, that looks bad. Went out there again. And they said, oh my God, this guy's saying. Went there again. Hired somebody. Damn, this guy doesn't want to listen to anything I want to do. Like, good God, life.
Right.
Life. You learn real quick. So that's why you just want to say to yourself, let me just go film my movie. Let me just go do it, put it together and see what I can do. And then people will tell you,
Real quick, that is excellent. I was going to ask you what's some parting advice that you want to give to the audience, and you did just that. I want to touch on one more thing before we go. Screenwriters, people who want to write, give them some advice. How they get started, and how do you bring them out of the writing room to the forefront where somebody knows who they are and what they do? What is your advice for the screenwriters?
You know, I always say I'm not a screenwriter. I'm a storyteller.
Oh, yeah.
Screenwriter, there's a few that I know. It's a tough gig. Number one, okay, you finish writing your story and everything else. And then you have to, you can send it out there to sales agents, help you with maybe trying to get it produced. Showrunners, if you know any, which is very hard. It's not like you just go out there to showrunners walking around in the street. It's not works that way. Right. But you have to find someone you want that you find online or whatever, maybe just give it to them. But one big thing as a screenwriter, what you should do to get yourself noticed right away is get it done. Like get someone to film it. Get a friend, get a school, like somebody. Do you want to film this? Don't worry about just somebody buying it.
Right.
Like people have to see what you can do before they put money in you.
Right.
But if you can find a team or somebody to film it or film it yourself, however, but just get the visuals out.
Right.
You know what I mean? Have people hear what you're writing and how it's being thrown out there, like how the actors are interpreting it. That's what you really want. Just having just a narrative just sitting on your desk, yeah, it's fine. You can do that, and most of the time that's how most things are kind of moved ahead. But you can look at it as people who have an advantage already with that. Like, if you do, then cool, great. But if you don't, and you like just sitting in your house and you really don't know anybody, and you just have a script you think is really cool, then the easiest way to do it, yeah, put it out there, get it copywritten. That's what you need to do. But I would say if you want to make a splash, get someone to film your story. And if you have a full-length feature, 120-page script, who knows, maybe a 300-page script.
Right.
What you want to do is just get a piece of it done from somebody. Just get something done by saying, I'm a screenwriter, but this is what it looks like on film. And don't compare yourself to a novelist. That's different. Right. You know what I mean? That's a whole different game. As a screenwriter, like you asked, Aaron, yeah, that's what you want to do. So nowadays, people unfortunately don't read too much. They should, but they don't. Everybody just wants to see visuals. They want to see the pretty pictures on their phone or on their desktop, whatever. But people just want to see pretty pictures. But the only way they care about you if you give them a pretty picture somewhere. And that's when they pay attention. And then from there, they probably start reading more and get more into your work.
Right. Well, so, and I figured that was the road you were gonna go down. But we live in a social media world, and like you said, nobody cares to read, too much. They want to see. And as much as people can see what you're doing, I think it kind of attracts the kind of audience that you want to bring in. So yeah, definitely. Cool, man. Cool. Listen, I'm gonna come out. I'm gonna do my very best to come out and support GainesCon. Sounds like something.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. You can go online and buy the ticket, right?
Yeah, go online, go to GainesCon.com. It's going to lead you to filmfreeway.com, where the tickets are, where you can actually put tickets through there. So if you can Film Freeway, just go to GainesCon.com. There's a button there. Click onto it, and if you buy a ticket, every ticket comes with a free popcorn and some swag. So you're not just going there. At least you get a free popcorn with every ticket purchase. So it's going to be in Seminole, Florida, if you're around the area. If you have any questions, please, guys, DM me. I'll answer any questions you want. But let's all get together. If you're into this, if you love action, sci-fi, fantasy, want to have a good time with fellow people of interest, then come on down and check it out. And it's going to be virtual as well. So not just, it's going to be on but it's also going to be virtual. So people just may see you too, just hanging out and talking. Plus, we're going to have an interview with one of Hollywood's action directors, Scott Windhauser, who has worked with various artists like Michael Jai White, Dolph Lundgren, and recently Stephen Lang, who was the antagonist in Avatar. Remember the guy, the bad guy, the white hair. This is Pandora. Like that.
Right.
just work with him. So he's going to be coming in virtually and speaking with us on the big screen too.
Oh, dope. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely. Yeah, that's like a good time to me, bro. Yeah, I'm gonna definitely check you out.
Absolutely, absolutely. So it's going to be good. You know what? This is the first one, and it can just do nothing more than just go up. So with your
Right.
help, everyone, your donations, your purchases, and just you being there, let's build this together. Let's build
Wow.
another festival.
Cool. 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 Well, Mr. Gaines, thank you so much for joining me today, man. You dropped some gems. You just some gems on the audience. I
Thank
definitely enjoyed this one. So
you for having me.
let's stay in touch, man. There's definitely some things I want to continue to pick your brain about, just in just in business, not just film, but business
Right.
too. I gained a lot from the first time that we talked that I kind of put into motion. Now that I've done it, I want to get with you again and figure out how I can move it along, execute a little better. So I definitely want to get at you about that, how to connect with you for a second time. And yeah, anything I can do to support you, my man, I'm here. Just let me know.
Yeah, thank you, man. Yeah, you know what? You're doing it now, having
Right.
me on here, giving me some type of an outlet, about my work. So thank you for that.
Cool. No doubt. No doubt. No doubt. Let's help each other. That's what it's all about. Helping each other. Cool. Anyway, Mr. Gaines, thank you so much once again. You have a great rest of your day, wonderful rest of your weekend. And I'll definitely be in touch. All right.
All right.
All right. Have a good
All
rest of
right.
your day. Take it easy.
Thank you.
All right.